terrifying school lockdown by Dat Peaksum on r/no sleep. Last year, during the whole killer clown craze, a few clowns on Twitter threatened to come to our school at 11 a.m. and kill us. The school picked up on this, and sent out emails to parents and planned a lockdown at 10:30. Sitting in history class, I hear the familiar sound of the lockdown alarm, the teacher rushing to the windows and door, locking and closing them. To be honest, I wasn't that worried. I thought that it was just another blank threat online, and nothing would happen, and my day would go back to normal, but there is still an excitement to a lockdown. After 40 minutes of silence, sitting on the cold floor in the corner of the room, the emergency green flashing light turned off, and the air conditioning slowly fell silent, and the hallway lights switched off. The school had cut the power. Why though? At this point, me and my classmates were staring at each other. We all knew that something real was going on. After 10 minutes or so, we could all hear a faint banging noise from down the corridor, shortly followed by heavy and fast footsteps. Someone was running down the hallway. They started banging on the lockers and screamed, "I'll kill you all. Just die." At this point, a few girls started quietly crying. Then, the most terrifying thing ever happened. One of the men, dressed as a clown, ran up to my class door, banging and screaming. Multiple people were crying now. One of my friends whispered to me, "We're all going to die." I started crying too. The man swiftly moved away from our door, and his scream slowly faded down the corridor. After another 2 hours, the principal came on the loudspeaker, surprisingly, explaining everything. He said that just after 11, 2 men walked into the school, one holding a kitchen knife and a camera. They ran around the school, threatening to kill students, and once police raided the school, only caught one. No one was hurt. The school got over 20 buses to take the younger kids home, and the kids 9th grade and over, like me, were told to walk home in groups, and call the cops if we saw anything suspicious. I had a hard week at school, thinking that the second man would return, with a gun or something, but nothing happened. This, nonetheless, will be scarred into my mind forever. The second one, as far as I know, has not yet been caught, but at this point, I feel like they are not looking for him, as it's been over a year, but the thought of him still planning an attack on the school has made me a lot more cautious when walking to school. Since then, the school has hired a few on-campus police officers, and have installed some auto-locking features on doors and windows. When the lockdown alarm goes off, this had made me feel a little bit better in school, but this just isn't something that you can forget about. It stays around, forever. A couple years later we all forgot about what happened that day, until we were in class and the lockdown alarms started going off. It instantly reminded me of that day. I thought it was happening again, but it was a false lockdown. End of story. You didn't think the video was over, did you? No, it's not. We got another story. My daughter had been trying to warn me for weeks. I really should have listened. By Mandair K on Reddit r/no sleep. Daddy, I think there's a monster in the attic. I gave my daughter a tired smile. It was the best that I could do at this point. She'd been doing this for weeks now. Every night I'd come and tuck her in, switch the nightlight on and kiss her goodnight when she would pull the blanket tight under her chin and tell me about the monster living in the attic of our house. Eyes wide, lips quivering, she would shake her little head furiously and insist that she could not possibly go to sleep until I got up and checked. It wouldn't matter how much I tell her that it's all just in her head, and that monsters aren't real. If I don't check the attic, she'd wake up screaming and crying just past midnight. Every single time. It's not like her fears were completely baseless, as we had all been hearing odd skittering noises coming from up there at night. Probably rats. No monster is that light-footed. Please, Daddy. Could you go and check? She whispered, afraid that the thing upstairs would eavesdrop and get mad at her request. Okay. I replied. There was no harm in indulging this little quirk of hers for at least a little longer. After all, the day when she would stop asking me to check for monsters and slam the door shut in my face wasn't all that far away. I just wished it wasn't the attic though. Why can't the damn thing live in her closet like a normal monster? Like a bored robot carrying out its daily task, I trudged out of her room, yawning as I reached the attic door, before sliding the ladder down and climbing up, one rickety rung at a time. I popped my head into the cramped space, slipped my phone out of my pocket and turned on its flashlight. Motes of dust shivered in the pale glow cast by the phone which illuminated the attic. Cardboard boxes covered in tattered rags, my wife's old easel and some broken furniture filled up the tiny attic. But no monsters. "All right, honey," I said after coming back down to my daughter's room. "I've checked. No monsters again tonight. Maybe we'll find them tomorrow." She grinned, relieved. "Thank you, Daddy. Good night, love." "Good night." Groaning and rubbing the crick in my neck, I entered our bedroom and plopped down on the bed belly first, mushing my face into the pillow. "Is Daddy back from fighting monsters?" my wife asked, slight mirth dancing in her tired voice. I grunted. "Yep. Kicked its little ass and sent it scurrying back to hell." She chuckled, and then turned over to the other side, her back facing me. I shut my eyes and got ready to go to sleep, when I was rudely interrupted by the critters in the attic skittering around like kids hopped up on candy. Fucking bastards with their little rat paws slapping against the wooden flooring of the attic. "Babe, you really need to get rid of those rats." I nodded, then realized she couldn't see me. "Yeah. Tomorrow. You've been saying that for a while now. They are really starting to irritate me." Yeah. "I'll get it done. Tomorrow." She sighed and shrugged her shoulders. Soon her breathing slowed down as she fell asleep. I wanted to follow her into the dream world, but my stiff neck wouldn't allow me to do so. I tossed and turned, before finally realizing I would have to lie on my back if I were to have any shot at catching some sleep, and I hated doing that. I hadn't slept on my back in ages. But the ache in my neck forced me. And then that damn skittering again. Fuck. I rubbed my forehead, wiggled my shoulders and opened my eyes. And saw what had been making that noise for all those weeks. Up on the ceiling, I spotted a figure. White, but hidden by the dark. I froze. What the fuck? It shifted. And there was that sound again, like claws scratching wood. My heart beat faster and my body erupted in sweat. What the fuck? What the fuck? Hands trembling, I reached for my phone and gently swung it around, shining the light on the figure on the ceiling. The light fell upon a face. Old. Wrinkled. Framed by matted locks of white hair that flowed down like the aerial roots of an ancient tree. It was an old woman, dressed in white, leering down at me, her fingers digging onto the wood of the ceiling. I gasped, and the grinning woman turned and crawled out of the room, moving across the ceiling like a fucked up spider woman, before disappearing into the hallway outside. I jumped out of the bed and ran out into the hallway, letting my eyes scan each and every inch of all the walls outside. But there was no one there. It was like she had disappeared. I would have almost believed that I had dreamt it all up if I hadn't noticed the long claw marks on the ceiling and felt my stomach drop. And that's when I finally understood. That for all those weeks that we had been hearing those sounds, it wasn't some rats skittering around. It was that woman, looking down on our sleeping bodies. Watching. Grinning.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Bye.